Well, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to Viewpoint for today. I'm here with my guests who actually will be talking to me today concerning something that I believe needs some clarification, and I'm sure that it's only fair. Someone have well said that there is always three sides to a story: your side, my side, and the other side. We'll be hearing the other side today as it relates to what would be happening to the cable TV workers being either merged into Telem or the whole issue in regards to what really happened there. In the meantime, I'd like to thank those of you who always make it a point of duty to join me here at noon. I really do appreciate it. It makes my job worth it. I just want to let you know. So knowing that you're there means that I have to get to work and do what I need to do when it comes to bringing the information out to the general public. Without any further ado, Mr. Kendall Dupersoy is here with me. He is the CEO there at Telem. And without any further ado, before we jump into the discussion, I'd like to say Happy New Year to you, sir. I have not seen you.
No, I have not.
For a while. So Happy New
And the
Year to
same
you.
happy returns to you and your family, and a very happy and prosperous New Year to the people of St. Martin as well.
All right. Well, you know, we have been exposed to some information in regards to the cable TV workers and the original intention, and even the people who are receiving the service from cable TV are showing some interest as to what's going to happen there at cable TV. And I believe it's only fair that you get an opportunity when it comes to my listeners who have heard so much from the union, what's the situation really is and where we are going with those two companies.
Well, a heck of an open-ended question, Wendell. I can just speak now for the next hour without allowing you a chance to do it.
Would you do that?
Well, it takes a lot of explanation in order to fully clarify what's going on at cable TV. But in short, basically, Telem purchased the assets of cable TV, which included the employees, for a strategic reason. The reason being to be able to utilize their pipes, to exploit their pipes in order to bring fiber to the home to the people of St. Martin. Unfortunately, having that as a strategic position, the amount of cable TV employees that would be necessary to continue to work in that area is limited. We expect, for instance, that the cable TV as it now exists will cease existence within the next year. We'll be moving to a IPTV platform, whether that is provided via your coax, copper, or fiber. It's an IPTV platform that has many more features than the current digital cable TV that we have at this moment. One of the features that is the most exciting for most people is the fact that you can be watching something on your television screen, live TV, and if you're going to leave the home, for instance, you can then switch to your cell phone or tablet and leave the home and stream it on our cellular network as well. Those type of features, as well as pause TV, record TV, live TV, and other features like that. So we're bringing a whole new system of television experience. Television is changing, as we all know. We have so many Rokus and Android boxes and Fire Sticks and all the other technologies out there that is being heavily used by the people of St. Martin, as it is all over the world. So trying to revive digital television in the form that cable TV had it is not a feasible option. It was an option that we looked into, but to be able to provide it island-wide, investment prior to Hurricane Irma was in the millions. So we can imagine what it would be after the devastation of Hurricane Irma and to some extent Hurricane Maria as well. So, in order to be as fair as possible with the workers, we decided to offer all workers a payout package where they would sign, and then based on years of employment, they would get a certain amount of money over a period of time in some cases, or a lump sum if they want it like that. We always advise them take it over a period of time, because your tax burden would be so much lighter than taking 30 or 40,000 guilders in one shot, where government goes with almost half. While if you take it over 6 months to a year, you would be better off and pay way less taxes than that. However, it was their choice to do it. I believe that communication with the union stopped when I informed the union, and because of Irma, everything got pushed way back to the end of the year. Unfortunately, we were not able to extend the 100% transfer of cable TV to the Telem group of companies, the cable TV assets to the Telem group of companies, because it had to happen on December the 31st. That was the last day. So we couldn't extend it and give people more time. So I think because of that, the communication was not at the level where it should have been. What we did on the 29th of December, which was the last working day, we transfer all immovable properties and movable properties to the Telem group to the Telem operating company. So right now, the buildings, the trucks, the pipes, the cable that's in the ground, all of that belongs to the Telem operating company. The employees are still residing in the Caribbean Teleview Services NV, which is the old company. We requested mass dismissal from the Labor Department, and the Labor Department informed us that they would not make a ruling until the 1st of March. So therefore, all the employees of cable TV will receive their salaries from cable TV, from Caribbean Teleview Services, until this is decided. So it's not, like people are saying that Telem is paying them. Telem is not paying the employees of cable TV. In the asset transfer, the immovable properties, movable properties that were transferred from Caribbean Teleview Services to St. Martin Telephone Company, operating company, there was a transfer of funds to Caribbean Teleview Services. Those funds are the funds that supposed to be used to initiate the payout and also pay any other outstanding bills that Caribbean Teleview Services would have. However, Caribbean Teleview Services, for all intent and purposes, is dormant. It's not really closed because it still has to execute the payment to the employees at the end of the month of January and February, and also any other bills that they have. So it is not closed, but the company is dormant. Now, I know it's an emotional thing for people to lose their job. On my way, well, not coming here directly, but I saw a friend of mine, and he was like, what are people doing to you, and why are they talking about you like that? And I was like, I don't blame them. I said, I am representing a company that purchased their company, and now is telling them, here's a payout, go on with your life. That has to be upsetting to anyone. So as I put myself in their shoes, I am not at all upset with them as employees, with the union for representing them, because that's what they were supposed to do. Do I like when Mr. Avers calls me arrogant and uses those other words? I don't. I don't think I've been acting arrogant at all in this situation that we find ourselves. I keep reiterating on a previous talk shows, as well as when I'm asked, that I was not the one that refused to speak to the union. The union sent me a letter indicating, funny, arrogantly, that I would have to respond to them within 5 days. I replied to them and indicated that the 5-day deadline was not acceptable because we would not have any additional information for them. They read it, they said okay, they sent a second letter and indicated I have 5 days to respond, to which I did not respond. When I had the information available to me, I called the union and I indicated to them, we have the information, would you like to come and sit down and speak about it? The union indicated that it was already in the hands of their lawyer. So once they told us that, I was advised then that we should have lawyers speak to lawyers, because it is very dangerous when you're dealing with a legal case that affects so many people's lives, that I can go up maybe and say something wrong that might commit the company Telem to, let's say, for example, hiring all the people. If that was the case, Telem would be literally bankrupt by the end of 2019. We would do significant losses in 18 and even more losses in 19 because our payroll would go through the roof. The payroll at cable TV prices level was 2.5 million guilders per year, on top of our 28 million that we pay now in Telem. Were we to bring the cable TV all 24, because there's 4 of them that are retiring, all 24 up to Telem levels, that would increase to about 3.8 million. Now, as it is right now, because of the benefits in Telem, payroll increases by 300,000 guilders every year in Telem. So can you imagine putting that on top? We make, last time we had about 3.5 million guilders profit. That takes away your complete profit and puts you in a loss right away. Not to mention, you have more operational costs by taking over the coax network. So the company would not be able to survive with that amount of employees. Mm-hmm. So you would either have to bankrupt the company or restructure. And what would the restructuring mean? It would mean that you would then still have to send home people.
Oh, okay. Let me. Because you've been touching on just about every point that I had listed.
You ask an open-ended question.
All right.
So
No,
I answered it completely as I could.
Yeah, but I needed your side of everything.
Yeah,
in any
I
case.
understand.
But let's get down a little bit deeper. Where, to some degree, it throws you in a very bad light when the union is complaining that they can't even have any dialogue with you on behalf of the workers. Seem to suggest that you are hard-nosed, bent on what you plan to do. Is that the case, or do you think dialoguing would help ease the pain, especially for the workers, because at least they know where you're going with all this?
Yeah, dialogue and communication is always better. However, when the union made the decision to lawyer up, then, like I said, I have to be careful what we say in meetings that can be viewed as committing something that I can't or won't be able to commit with the survival of Telem into consideration. So because they lawyered up in this specific case, I think it was better for us to go lawyer by lawyer. So whenever we respond to them, we haven't sat down in a face-to-face meeting concerning that issue specifically. But when you lawyer up, it's best for lawyers to speak to lawyers and make sure that whatever you say is not, cannot be construed in a way that you didn't mean to say it.
So that closes the possibility of dialogue between you and the union, you're saying?
Not in the specific case of the court case. Mm-hmm. So based on the things that were said in the court case, yes, if there are other issues concerning Telem, cable TV, Telem / whatever, that is not being litigated, I would have no problem sitting with the union and discussing it. But in the specific case of the court case right now, I think it's best for both parties to let the lawyers speak to each other to make sure that neither of us say anything that would be construed or misconstrued in a way that can negatively affect either party. Mm-hmm.
But what about the employees? They seem not to be sure as to what is really going on, especially when they came out to work New Year's morning and the building was closed.
January 2nd, actually.
January 2nd, yes.
Yeah. What happened was, in that case, we indicated, again, lawyer to lawyer, we indicated to their lawyer on the 29th, and the employees were also informed prior to the 29th, way before, like a week before. They each got a letter indicating to them that they would not have to show up to work on January 2nd. In a discussion with the union said the reason why they still showed up to work is because their names were not on every letter. It was a general letter that was just sent out. I sure he has his legal advice. I have mine, so I'm not going to dispute that. Of course, it could be that was the reason why they showed up. But they were informed prior that the Caribbean television would be dormant and they would not be allowed to. They would not have to. Let me say, not even be allowed. They would not have to work, and they would still be paid. Mm-hmm. The union rightfully informed us that they would need it in writing that would indicate that they would still be paid. The first correspondence that was sent on the 29th to their lawyer did not specifically indicate that they would be paid even if they didn't show up to work. So we corrected that situation this week. Last week, actually. Early this week. We corrected that situation by indicating in writing that they would not need to come up to work, but they would be paid without having to punch in and out or be able present to the job until this situation is clarified, and we inform them via their union of what the situation would be going forward.
And how long that is expected to be? Have
well,
an idea?
In the court case, we were asked by the judge to do a manpower assessment.
Correct.
And in that manpower assessment, then we would see what exactly would be necessary, what can be incorporated into the telem functions that without too much stress on the telem workers, and what additional assistance you would need. Now, that assistance could be in the form of transfer of employees or working with contractors. Mm-hmm. But once the function is filled, so that's another discussion. Once the manpower assessment is completed, we have to go in discussion again with the union in order to for the union to make sure that we're not going to either exploit telem employees by giving them too much work, or take advantage of the cable TV employees by sending them home when we can't really deal with all the work that is going to be placed temporarily on the telem workers. Because, like I said in my first answer, the idea is to move away from the coax network and go into a fiber network, and move away from the digital television and move into IPTV.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm here with Mr. Kendall Dupersoy. He's the CEO there at Telem, and we are trying to make sense, at least from his end, as to what is the real situation when it comes to the workers at cable TV. But I could imagine that they would be open ears and open hearts, trying to figure out exactly what would be the bottom line here. Some people are going to be losing their jobs. Some are going to be incorporated, possibly now, into Telem. But while they're out and receiving pay, this has nothing to do with the eventual payout just yet.
Well, yes, and yes, it does, because the payout that we offered was the sessentia, which is the legal amount, plus a considerable amount extra based on their years of service. That payout expired on December the 31st. So those
Did you make that payment then?
To those that signed.
On the 31st, yeah.
Yeah, to the people that signed, they're being paid.
Okay, and there's some who didn't sign.
Most of them didn't. There were 8 that signed of the 28, so 20 didn't.
Okay.
So
the payment that they're getting every month then?
The payment they get every month is their salaries. January, February, they will be paid because of the fact that the Labor Department is going to rule on the dismissal request on March the 1st. Okay. By March the 1st. So
why did it take so long to make the dismissal request?
Hurricane Irma, basically. We were busy putting together the network, trying to get everything up and running, and cable TV became a lesser priority after Hurricane Irma. And then once we got into to October, then we said, oh, wait a minute, we have the deadline of December the 31st that the official transfer from the US-based company to Telem. So let's get working on it. So that's why it happened. That's why it took so long, basically. Now that's Hurricane Irma is there, but to be honest, and I'm sure we could have done it prior to Hurricane Irma. So we kind of dropped the ball as telemanagement a little bit in that period of time. So that is what made it a little bit more uncomfortable for the workers as well, and which is, definitely apologize to them already for, because it was like, it is not a pleasant thing to get this all of a sudden. And I know a lot of the workers there going and paying my mom's cable TV and stuff, my own as well. I knew them until I started doing it online. So, and I have people that I know that went to school with me, and I have good friends that work there. So it's uncomfortable as a CEO to have to be telling people that here's a payout, and hope for the best. But we did more than that though, because we also helped them with resume writing. We had some trainings that some of them followed on presentation, and we were willing to give them like a bridge to try to get employment in other places. And I know for a fact that some of the skilled workers, especially on the technical division, they want it in other companies, because some companies need that type of skill level in order to do the job they have to do. Some of our contractors that work with us, they're looking to hire them, but they're not accepting the job because maybe they're waiting to see exactly whether they're going to be transferred to tell them or not.
All right, I got to take a break here, so just excuse me for the moment. You're listening to Viewpoint. I'm here with Kendall Dupersoy, the CEO for Telem. We'll take a break for those of you watching, and we'll be right back right after these commercials. And welcome back to Viewpoint for today. Again, I'm here with Mr. Kendall Dupersoy. He is the CEO for Telem, and we are talking about this situation of that concerns the employees, and we've scratched the surface on some of the points, but I believe when it comes to the details, the proof, they say, is in the eating. So I just wanted to know if Mr. Kendall Dupersoy can tell me anything about what would be the final outcome, but that is not known as yet, simply because in a conversation in the break, really, he said that this has to be done by a reputable company doing the manpower assessment. Okay, I need to get clear, Mr. Dupersoy. What, if anything, you would want to say to the subscribers that are using cable TV? Because according to what I've been hearing, lots of them are leaving Simon Cable, and you just mentioned about some of the options that people do have. I'm sure that you would want to bring this new service that you gave a pretty, I think it's the first time I heard a plan explained for cable coming from the new parent company that owned it. Now you talk about the plan that you have. So what would you want to say to cable TV subscribers?
The most important thing is to please be patient. We're in a transition period right now in trying to acquire the amount of skill set in order to be able to provide a service, as well as to evaluate, like for instance on the Colby side of the hill, as we say colloquially, if we're going to even bother with putting back the cable in its form that we had before. We might decide to just put IPTV, because as you know, we're coming over the hill from that side with our fiber to the home network. So we can look at that and say, you know what, maybe it might be better financially for the company to just put in the IPTV service, which we are testing right now at Telem. So once that decision is made, then they would be able to apply for the IPTV service, if that's the decision that made. If there's certain areas on the Colby side that has connectivity to what we call the head end, which is that cable that provides the digital TV services, we can do a quick repair if that's possible and do it. But for areas where we have to do a whole lot of trenching or just pulling a lot of new cables, it might just be better for us to trench and put in the fiber at one time and provide IPTV to those customers. So the content will be similar.
Yeah, but so then you're saying in essence that some people may not be able to get reconnected in the present form.
Yes, exactly. But they
But
will
you
get the
can't say
same
we are
content. No, I wouldn't be able to tell you that. That's something that there's an assessment already done. I'm sure the technical people would be able to answer that a whole lot better than me. But I would not be able to tell you exactly where that is in it. Mostly it's the PLAs that were overhead, because Irma really tore apart the overhead network. For the places that were underground, they still have connectivity. Okay. But like I said, it's a transition period now, because as we said, the cable TV people that didn't sign the thing, we can't work with them because it would entail by legal advice and jurisprudence, as a matter of fact, that because the employees are still inside of the Caribbean Teleview Services NV. If I were to allow them to use any property that belongs to Telem Operating Company, which holds all the assets right now, except for the employees, that they would automatically become employees at Telem.
Okay.
And then we would have to go through a long procedure again, maybe to have them then dismissed from Telem, because we don't really need them for no long period of time. It's a transition period that we're going to use because, like I said, we bought the company for the infrastructure on the ground.
Okay.
Because they had a very good infrastructure on the ground, so that's why we bought it.
So
technically, we can't compete as Telem or anybody else, as a matter of fact, with the amount of boxes that we have out there in the network that give you television services for next to some of them basically free, and some of them at very low cost. So cable TV can't compete with that, because in cable TV, for the content that you bring to cable TV, we have to pay for it.
Yes.
They have to pay for it. So those people they just put a server, hook up on cable TV, and streaming it all over.
But that comes to the internet, right?
It comes to you need internet.
Yes.
But you don't need television services in the how you say, the legacy sense, the old sense of television services anymore. Everything now is streaming. I myself, I barely look at TV. Everything I look at is streaming. The only things, and one of the things that we wanted to do with the IPTV service is bring a lot of Caribbean content from out of Jamaica, Haiti, Barbados, St. Kitts, Antigua, wherever we can get it from. If we can get those local channels from those surrounding Caribbean islands, because St. Martin is very strategically located to be able to provide those services. If we can get good agreements with those local channels in those areas, then we can bring those services to St. Martin, and because we have a very diverse population.
But why don't you also give consideration to encouraging local production as well, so you can have content
always. I know there was some things in the media that the local producers right now were upset because they didn't have a venue, but we're working on that to get the head end up and operational to be able to continue with those local providers that were providing it all the time. So it's not that we're going to stop any one of the local providers, and we're looking for more. What sells a TV service is basically the content. Like I say, you can't compete from a amount of content with the Rokus and the Android boxes and stuff like that, but you can compete if you get Caribbean content. And I believe that in a couple of conversations that there's also soap operas and things out of Jamaica, and they have local shows out of Trinidad that are series that are all provided on their local channels. If we can get it there, it's a whole new market that we'll be bringing to St. Martin in via, or whether it's via fiber or via satellite.
How much of those workers you think may be carted out of the service of cable TV?
I have absolutely no idea. I'm very careful about naming any numbers, because I might have a number in my head and that number might be completely wrong, because I am not an expert in a manpower assessment. So I have to wait until they do the manpower assessment and see. It is my opinion, however, that I believe that most of the administrative work that is done at cable TV can be incorporated into Telem. But I'll have to wait until a manpower assessment to be able to really decide on to see if I'm right or wrong.
I would want to believe that maybe the technical department as well, because they know about connecting and dealing with
there's the knowledge, the skill set, let's say, of the technical division. The technical part of cable TV is not present in Telem. So you would either have to sign agreements as contractors, or if forced to employ them. The only thing about employing them, which is a danger for Telem, is that you're increasing on top of your employees that you already had, and you're pretty much saturated where that's concerned. But you only need them for like a 2 or 3 years, because after that, the system will no longer be coax. So that's the danger you have. So yes, that's why we want to stimulate them to be contractors, because in the meantime they're not committed to only working for Telem. They can move on and work for for other companies because they have a skill set in pulling cables, not only for in a network but also in homes.
Okay. Let me take a call for you. Good afternoon, caller. Go right ahead. You're on.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Mr. Dupersoy, can you shed some light on the difference between the service that cable TV offers as opposed to the service that is offered on the French side for €30 a month, where you have major channels such as Hallmark and the O channel, and on cable TV side, I pay for my mother $51, $52 a month for basic channels. What is the difference with what cable TV offers and what the French side offers, where you have those two major channels? And the other thing I understood is that the IPTV that you are talking about is literally the exact programming that is on the boxes, if I should call it that. The exact lineup is what is going to be on IPTV. And I happen to know that IPTV has a lot more exciting things than what is currently being shown on TV, which I really don't have. I don't have cable TV. It's not interesting. Is it so that it's going to be the same lineup? The next question is, for seniors who are not technologically inclined, what does that say for them? If you can please answer those questions. Thank you very much.
I hope I remember. Okay, the first question I believe was about the differences between our southern side and the northern side. The difference is borough telecommunication and post, basically. We're not allowed to provide content unless it is licensed. On the French side, they don't have that limitation. They can provide whatever they want. Now, there's a big discussion because I spoke to people about it, and people are saying that technically Borough Telecom can't limit what cable TV can provide because there's no agreement internationally, and once something is in the air, it's called free to air, and if it's not scrambled, we should be able to bring it in. So that's a discussion that we have to have with Borough Telecom. The second question, I believe, was on the IPTV. Now, IPTV is simply a medium in order to provide you a service that is going to be, that has certain features that you can't have in digital television in the format what it is at cable TV right now. So the IPTV is not so much about content, it's about the system that is providing you some features that are not that cable TV cannot right now provide. So saying that IPTV has O or HBO or Cinemax is not correct. IPTV is a format of when you're bringing the digital system signal to the box holder, and that person can then have a lot of additional features that they can use, such as second screen, pausing live TV, recording live TV, and a lot of other features are going to come with that that service. Would the content be exactly the same? Right now, we have cable TV. Now, Telem has a license for the content that they're providing. In the meantime, we have to go out and get some additional content to make it a little bit more exciting for people like you who would like more exciting TV. As far as the seniors go, you don't have to look at it as too complicated. The senior can still go up to the TV, turn it on, and change the channels. The only thing in the back end, there'll be a lot of additional features that they can use, second screen, and like I mentioned before. But I don't be too hard on the seniors, because even though seniors always tell me they're not technologically inclined, I can use my mother as an example, and she sends WhatsApp, she goes on the internet, and I'm pretty sure that most of the seniors, not all of the seniors out there, would be able to use the features that IPTV can provide to them once they get used to it, and they are no longer gun shy about using it.
Well, as far as the new technology you're talking about, IPTV, I think people need to understand what that really is. And I believe they may want to make a comparison with the Roku boxes and everything else that provide pretty much what you would find in IPTV.
Well, the Roku and those Android boxes are basically IPTV. What it does is you connect them to your internet, and IPTV means Internet Protocol TV. And the data is streamed via Internet Protocol, and then the box is decoded into what you see on your screen. It's the same. That's what it basically is. But
So would
in a Roku, for instance, or Android box, you can pause it. You can record it if you have a hopper or whatever other feature you have. So you can pause it. You can record if you have the feature. There's even some of those those Android boxes, that you can hook up to an external drive, and you can record for days.
Okay.
And then look at it whenever you
Let
want.
me take one more call for you. Good afternoon, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I have a question. Ever since the hurricane, I do not have any cable. I actually have cable and internet with cable TV. And since you guys are taking over, do you know when you guys are going to start putting up the lines or whatever it is for us to at least get it back?
All right. Thank you for that. You actually touched on that before, but
well,
please make it clear.
We never stop. Cable TV never stopped putting up lines. We have several contractors that work for cable TV that were busy putting up the lines. What we're trying to do this week is trying to sign some agreements with some additional contractors so that it could be done in a more faster and more reliable way. So basically, it depends on where you live and how much damage is in your area. But we are trying to get it under control. Right now, it's not 100% under control. We're getting there, but I think by the end of this week, we'll be a little bit more, comfortable dealing with the outages and stuff like that.
Let me take another call for you. Good afternoon, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to correct Mr. Dupersoy with something. I did not say that IPTV does not have the O channel on Hallmark. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that they do. I was questioning that with the programming as it is now with the box, with the present lineup, that the O channel and Hallmark is not on that lineup, and it's being
it used to be
offered
there
on the
before, you
front side.
mean?
But he already explained that. But I just wanted to
Caller?
make it clear that
Can you hear me?
I am not saying that it's not on IPTV, because it is on IPTV.
Oh, no, caller,
Thank
you
you.
mean that it was there before? Hallmark and O was on cable TV before?
Chief Hub. Okay.
If I guess that's what she meant. But we brought back most of the channels. But during Hurricane Irma, almost every dish, well, not almost, every dish from cable TV was totally destroyed. So we had to order in dishes, and they're currently busy. They put up most of the dishes, but they're currently busy putting up more dishes. So I think by the end of this week, we would have probably 100% of the channels that were there previously would again be on the cable TV thing. So O and Hallmark would be included if that's what the caller meant.
All right. Let's take another call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'd like to know if I can continue making my online payments to cable TV account.
Yes, you can. You can just continue to make the payments as normal, and it will be booked on your account.
All right. Obviously, there are a lot of interest as to what would be the final decision here, Mr. Dupersoy, when it comes to the service provided by SIMA and Cable. But let me take one more call for you. Good afternoon, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Good program. I just wanted to get some clarification, though. Seeing as Mr. Kendall Dupersoy said, they bought the company because they had a very good underground infrastructure. Now, when buying this company or looking at the advantage of buying the cable TV, why wasn't the manpower assessment done before buying it and now coming after buying it to say that we have to take away some people's job because it will be causing them so much money? If you bought the company for its benefits and its advantages, then why didn't you make that assessment before buying the company and now coming to the retrospect that you have to now lay off some people because your budget cannot hold those people on board?
Got you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. If I may just add something to what he says. When you bought the company, did you think of maybe buying the assets and not employing? Then the old company would have had to deal with the employees.
That was when we first thought about buying a company. I was on a board at the time, so this was the previous management. The previous management did request that the the previous management did request that the old company, the American-based company, that they would send the people them home and then we would just buy the assets. But that was not. They were like, yo, you live in St. Martin, you know the laws better than we do, so you deal with them. So that was not an option. We even offered them more money.
Okay.
And they didn't. So
that was not an option.
Secondly, you don't really do a manpower assessment prior to buying a company because the information is proprietary. Nobody is going to do that. But I want to add that we did know that for the past 4 years, cable TV has been running a loss. With 6,000 subscribers, cable TV is running a loss. Right now, because of the hurricane, it's way less.
Let's get another call in here, Mr. Dupersoy. Good afternoon, caller. You're on. Go ahead.
Mr. Dupersoy, the O Channel and Hallmark was never ever on the lineup of cable TV. Maybe if it was, people would not have had to go and seek other ways to get
Roku boxes.
exciting television.
All right, thank you. I see you're an O Channel and Hallmark fan.
No, but
or at least a mother maybe is one of them.
At least you could look at it positively. That is something.
Yeah, but it's about the licensing and the content. Basically, if
you're not licensed to carry anything from OTV.
No, I don't believe that we are. I would have to verify that, but everything that we were licensed to carry was carried by cable TV.
By the way, for those people who don't understand this OTV, I believe that's Oprah
Winfrey's network.
And she's an interesting person, of course, that would trigger a lot of interest.
All right.
Do we have another call, you said? Okay, let's take another call. Good afternoon, caller, you're on.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. This question here, because one thing also that for over the years is most folks know that when it comes to the deployment of business strategies and so that Telem often has been very bad at that. Put it this way. I work in this industry for many years, okay, and I realize that if you do not open and be liberal where communication is concerned, at the end of the day, you will lose out. This is what happened to cable. That's what happened with the post, and it's been going through with the face with the landline, mobile, everything, because we see how technology is moving forward. The business strategy of Telem is just bad, but how are you going to, if your prices are high and you know that your biggest challenge is technology, all of the Rukus, why people are just migrating to other technology and alternatives has a lot to do also with price factor. When are we going to liberalize and have a mindset where we're going to compete technologically, even though we don't have that mass of population, whereby we drop our prices and get more consumers to use our services and mitigate the issue, the factor that people are migrating to alternative technology and those sort of things. Change your model of doing business. Because if you have a high internet cost and you have a high cable or IPTV cost, people will still migrate. Change your approach in terms of your pricing so you can have more customer base. For lower prices, they will stay with your product, they will stay home, but also better your service.
All right.
That's my answer.
Okay, thank you. That's more a comment than it really is a question.
Well, I would like to answer it anyway, because a lot of people out there, they go to other countries that have 10,000, 100,000, a million subscribers, and they expect St. Martin to be able to offer the same pricing. You got to understand, caller, that when I pay for my what is called IP transit coming to St. Martin, I'm paying the same price for that amount of transit that they're paying in New York or Miami or LA or wherever else, or even in one of the bigger islands like Trinidad or Barbados or Jamaica. So it is not possible for us to have the same amount of the same pricing, let's say, as some of those other islands. It's just economies of scale. It's nothing we can really do about it. So
you're saying television is always going to be expensive for us?
But I can't say that always, because like I said, technology is changing so much, and maybe like and a word he used, a liberalization. It could be that 5-10 years from now, somebody says, you know what, you don't have to pay us for our content, we're going to just depend on the advertisements for that to make our money, so here's free TV. And then we could do the same thing, have it for free.
All right, I'm going to throw a little 2 cents in terms of an advice. I heard you talk a lot about the interest that might be necessary in the Caribbean region and their programming. I would like you to put the local material as well on the very same level, so that we're not just crowded with what's going on in Jamaica and Trinidad and Curacao, and not what's going on in St. Martin.
Well, that was never the intention. The intention is for the locals to be there, and
Okay.
I hope that they're getting in contact with who they're supposed to get in contact to continue to provide a local service the local programming that they have.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're
for
most
coming
welcome.
in, and I do appreciate the information. I would hope, though, that we bring some comfort to those people who probably would be out of a job from here on out, but that's just the way the cookie
Well, let's say
crumbles.
the manpower assessment has to decide that.
Okay. All right. That's it for today, folks. I want to thank you for listening and for viewing, and for those of you who are with us by way of the internet, thank you for listening to us as well. And thank Mr. Dupersoy for coming in and sharing that information. Until the next time, when we'll be back here at noon for another interesting viewpoint, Wendell Moore saying ciao. See you later.